What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the garage. Actually, today we're not going to be inside the garage. We're going to be showing some love to my newest commuter, which you guys have probably seen about 2-3 months ago. I made a video on it, but it's my 2012 Chevy Sonic. Outside right now, chilling in the weather. We are going to be installing, as you can tell by the thumbnail, this guy right here, a cruise control kit from Rostra. Yeah, I got the base model, and as you can see, no cruise control. So that's what we're going to be installing today. Before we come outside and actually start installing, first thing you want to do is actually take your kit. I'll put the part number below of the kit that I bought for my 2012 Chevy Sonic. Mine is a manual transmission. This 250/9619 is the one for my car. Nonetheless, let's check our kit contents. We need our cruise control module. We need our switch harness, which is one of these guys over here. I think that's the switch harness. Then we need our pedal interface. That's this guy. We need our hardware kit. They're just saying the hardware kit is literally just these zip ties. Control switch. That's what you're actually going to press when it comes to turning off, on, and changing the cruise control. We got that guy. And then last but not least, we got our diagnostic harness. Pretty much what that means is just the plug that's going to connect into our OBD2 port. And one thing to remember, guys, we actually installed this exact kit, not this exact part number, but this exact kit about, I don't know, a year ago, maybe 2 years ago, on the wife's Hyundai Accent. This kit should be almost identical. Before we get started, go ahead and disconnect your negative cable on your battery, because we are going to be dealing with cables and wires, and then just make sure you cover this up so that it doesn't touch anything on your body and reground everything. So first things first, we're actually going to be needing access to some cables up underneath the kick panel. So take that off. So first thing it recommends us install is the plug and play pedal harness and then the OBD2 connector. You don't want to mount everything in its final location first off, because with electrical stuff you want to test it first. So we're going to just mock everything up and leave it underneath off to the side. Here's my OBD2 connector, there's my OBD2 port. There's one connection. We'll grab your pedal harness. The pedal harness is the one, once again, which got the plug and play jumper. That's gonna connect right between your accelerator pedal. So let me get some light, show you what we're doing. There's your accelerator pedal, and here's your connector. So there's a little red tab, pull that tab back, disconnect. Over on the side, there's a little knob, if you will, which allows you to push in, slide out. There you go. Now you'll take your little jumper plug, which connects literally just right between those two, and you'll connect the two sides up. So you plug in that side to that side, get your other end, plug it into the existing harness. Sorry if my hands are in the way. This guy is literally just plug and play at this point. Push the red tab in. Alright, there you go. I'm going to move these cables just up and out the way for the moment, just because we're not going to fully mount it. Like I said, we're just going to temporarily put it in place so we can make sure it works before we do that. Once you have that pedal harness connected, make your way to the other end of the harness, and you'll see there's this lone red power wire which has a fuse on it. It has us wiring that fuse, or that wire, to the ignition. On Chevy Sonics, if you can see that there, right here on this panel, on that connector specifically, we're going to be looking for a violet and white connector. In order to get more access to that wire that we're going to be messing with, I'm going to take off the top part of this connector, pull down on the little red tab, push in on the little gray section, and you got to pull back on the black tab. It's like one of those locky ones. There we go, and as always, plastic pry bars come in handy. Now that I got that unplugged, I went ahead and pulled back some of that insulating weird material, that little felt material, as well as took off this piece of electric tape, and that will give us a lot more access and a lot more wiggle room to access that ignition wire. If you're looking up close, there's technically a few violet and white cables, so ignore these little ones over here on the left side, and we're focusing on that big white and violet wire. I like to use nice connectors, nice connections for splicing wires, especially important ones like this. I like to use these solder splices. They're both solder, heat shrink, and insulation all in one. I'll have to cut that big wire in the middle, and then I'll follow this guy in there on one side, and then I'll put a solder splice on there and use my heat gun. Kind of makes no sense when I say it, but you'll see here in a second. So let me do this real quick. We got them all solder spliced together. Have the red one coming in from top down, just so it lays a lot better. It's a nice, secure, snug fit, and it's insulated. So I'll probably just give it an additional wrap of electric tape, and we'll connect her right back in. Last but not least, before we go do our test drive, we got to connect up the control switch. Here's the harness. These are the ones that are actually color coded to connect with. The control switch here, it's got its own set of colored cables. The harness itself has its also own set of colored cables. You can see there on the list, black to black, blue and yellow to red, blue and yellow to blue, red and purple, and so on and so forth. These connectors are not in their slots yet, which they do provide you with, but you don't want to put those in yet. I'm just going to go ahead and use some electrical tape, put these colors, tape them up to their corresponding pins in this side, and then we'll actually be ready to go take it on a test drive. Alright, and as you can see there, I just put a little bit of electric tape just so they are not touching, connected them up to their corresponding wires. We are ready to go. I have the other side all connected up to the box, have my wires up out in the way. So I'm gonna go ahead and plug back in the battery, and we will take off on our maiden voyage to test out the new cruise control. Alright guys, we're on a good road, so let's see what happens. So turns on, we're at about 50 miles an hour, 51. If I click this top button, it should hold us in place. Alright, foot's off the gas. 52. Alright, looks like so far it's working. So if I tap down on the top, it should slow us down. Yep, I'm feeling it slow down. 51, click it again. Feeling it slow down, there's 50. Now if I tap the top, I should be able to accelerate. Tapped it once. I feel it accelerating slowly. Tapped it twice. 51. Yeah, 52. Alright, it's accelerating. More importantly, is when I touch the brake, it cuts it off. So we're at 54, so I'm gonna tap the brake. Yep, cut it off. So if I click resume, it should go back to where it was, and I feel it accelerating. Yep, sure do. I feel this guy accelerating. Alright, so I turned around so we can test the last one. So just like the brake, if I press the clutch, it should cut off the cruise control. If this doesn't work, it pretty much means the car will probably rev out. Pressing the clutch now. Alright, it works. 100%, it works. So now if I press once again the resume button, get us back up to 50 miles an hour. Sure enough, there it goes. Not pressing the brakes, not pressing the gas. So it definitely does overshoot for a second. I think the circuit is just slightly overdamped, but it's alright. Back at 50, we are cruising aftermarket Rostra Cruise Control. Last thing you gotta do, now that we have confirmed that everything is functioning, we gotta clean all this mess up. I'm going to get all my wires nice and tucked up underneath. I'm not gonna show that on camera. And last thing we'll do is get ready to cut the hole and mount our new switch for our cruise control. So I got most of the wires tucked up out of the way. The last one I have still free with some slack is the one that's going to connect up to our hand controls. I'm after doing some kind of like testing while I'm sitting in the vehicle, actually going to mount it to this lower flat surface here. In order to take off your little lower portion of your steering wheel, there's 2 screws, one on each side, and then there's one right here in the bottom middle. Once you have those screws undone, everything else literally just pops off. That's where that little orange pry bar comes in handy, but it's not held on very tight. I'm gonna take this off, take it inside, and then we'll drill that hole. So we're gonna drill the hole out to 3/8. I have a step drill, so let me just go ahead and drill out my hole. All right, there we go. We got the hole drilled. Go ahead and take off your little lock nut. The directions will show you the orientation of how you're supposed to put it on. Follow those directions as far as what goes in between what. Lock washer, angle mount, lock washer, your shroud, angle mount, lock washer, nut. That's the order. So let me go ahead and tighten that on. All right, there we go. So now let's make our way back to the car, put it in and make sure that's going to fit behind the steering wheel. So when it's time to install your connectors, you got to be very attentive because they do go to a specific one. So as you can see over here on the left side, it says black connector. So our red, black, and blue wires, they're going to all go on this black connector. The brown, yellow, and green cable are going to connect to the white harness. Again, be sure you have them specifically in their right slots. All you need to do is take the bottom ends, push from the bottom, just like that, and it'll click into place. And there we go, guys. Our connectors are populated and they are connected. We're going to pull some of the slack back and we're going to get the lower portion mounted. So let me do that real quick. Once you have all your wires tucked back up, go ahead and put all your panels back in or whatever you took off, and you are pretty much done with this project. There you go. Last thing you're going to do, install those 3 screws, the 2 that are on each side and the one that's up underneath on the bottom. Other than that, guys, you now have cruise control in your 2012 all the way up to 2016 Chevy Sonic. So guys, just like that, you finished up another great project with Everything Abron. Your Sonic now has a cruise control aftermarket installed, and that's gonna help you out a lot. But as always, guys, thank you for watching another great video with Everything Abron. Plenty more videos to come for all the vehicles that we got. I'm gonna call it for today's video. Thank you guys again for watching Everything Abron. We'll see y'all in the next one.